Hello again, everybody. Um, it's been a hot second since I made a video. I've had a lot going on in my personal life, but decided to jump in and make something. I I've been thinking about a lot of things lately, and about how do I talk about and gear what I have to say towards Butch lesbians in hopes of helping them find their way. Find their way out of gender dysphoria or whatever they might be, feeling comfortable about or suffering from, or how do I help them find their way, the best route for them to deal with their gender dysphoria out, whether it's transition or not transition. I personally hate the idea of medicalizing somebody's body because they're uncomfortable with it. Ethically, I really have some apprehension about if the medical community is doing stuff appropriately, ethically, or scientifically based. And I don't pull these reasons just out of my ass. I have had years of reading different perspectives and reading research, and my position, I feel, is pretty well supported. So I feel pretty confident in my position, although I'm open to change. Always. I'm open to other information. I try to be. Not perfect. That said, I have had a recent realization that for butch lesbians, adult butch lesbians, we really are on our own in making these decisions. We really are. It really is us that has to make the decision of whether transition is a good, mentally productive, and healthy path for us to take to deal with our gender dysphoria. And the reason that is kind of sad to me is because, you would hope that if a medical treatment is being given out, that the doctors and the therapists giving out this medical treatment for a mental health condition would have your best interest at heart, and have the interest of what is going to help you the best as far as your situation goes. I don't find that is the case. It really is up to us. And because it's up to us, I feel like I guess I have to gear my videos towards that perspective and hope it helps give a broader view or some more education on the topic of transition, in hopes that maybe other butch lesbians will think more about what that means to transition, what they might be trading, what they might be gaining, and if it's worth it. I'd be curious if other lesbians out there, especially butch lesbians, what you think is going to be helpful in helping other butch lesbians who struggle with gender dysphoria decide whether transition is a good path for them or not. I don't know. I know that I thought it was a good path for me, and it ended up not being. So that obviously makes me question a lot of things. All right, so with all that said, here's some short and sweet key things to consider when you are thinking about transitioning. Gender dysphoria is common for butch lesbians. Something I wasn't really aware of. I have since learned it is very common. It's not unique. Homophobia and misogyny is a trauma. If you've had to live in a homophobic family, if you've ever had any kind of homophobic ridicule, assault, pressure to not be gay, just anything that comes along with just being disliked for something you cannot help, and that is something very core to you and your identity. If you've been If you've had these things happen in your life, it's a trauma. Homophobia is really a trauma, and I really wish the mental health community would acknowledge this and that people would understand it. So is misogyny. It warps your sense of self, and it can really destroy a person, and everybody's different. Somebody's horrible homophobic situation might be somebody's not so horrible homophobic situation, but really it's not about the intensity per se, it's about how it impacts that particular person. Don't underestimate the impact of homophobia and misogyny in your life. Consider that gender dysphoria is not special. Consider that it's maybe no different than any other mental health or emotional distress, and that it might be able to be treated without transition. That's something that I didn't get any of that information from pretty much anywhere I looked. No one ever said, actually, this isn't, not that, I don't want to say it's not that big of a deal, because it is. All emotional distress can be super big deal in a person's life, but take some of that. I like to take some of that special category out of gender dysphoria. I believe it can be treated without transition, and I believe there are alternative ways, and it's worth looking into those alternative ways, because I feel like we deserve that. We deserve to be able to manage this distress in the best and healthiest way for us. And be open to detrans stories. Those of us who have transitioned and then since detransitioned, we try to tell our stories, and we do it for a reason. We do it because, I'll speak for myself. I do it because I really want to help others, not go down this path if they don't have to. Because after living as FTM for 4 years and transitioning medically and then stopping, I realized there was other ways to handle my gender dysphoria. There was other ways to handle my distress. I didn't need to medicalize my body. And even if it's just hormones, by a couple months into hormone treatment, my body was already irreversibly changed. So this is a big step. I guess that would be another point I'd like to throw in there, even though it's not on my super secret list I'm looking at. Treat transition with the kind of heaviness it needs to be treated with. This is a major medical intervention. Treat it like that. Really treat it like that. I think it's super important to be open to different perspectives. Even when you really don't agree with the person, just listen. That's just really important. Just take all that information in and consider it. You don't know where you might get an answer if you are shutting down half the conversation. And above all, be critical. Be very critical of all of it. And ask why. If I was to point out one major element that I should have asked myself, and that honestly the therapist should have asked, but they don't, because they suck. I'm not bitter. Ask why. Why is such an important word. Ask yourself why. Why do I feel this way? What is this feeling exactly? Don't just say it's gender dysphoria and stop there. Go further. Specify what the feeling is. When does the feeling pop up? Why? When did I first feel that? When did I first feel this feeling pop up? Why is very, very important. And it's a tough thing to ask. And being honest is very difficult to be. It's very painful. For me, going down to the actual root cause of my gender dysphoria is one of the most painful things I've done in my life. After doing it, I really, from my perspective, I saw that transition was in fact an easier path than actually dealing with my issues. So, ask yourself why. I hope this has been helpful. I'll make more videos kind of diving into more of these things. Specifically, I have a lot of other videos that I've already done that probably might answer a lot of these questions or things I've brought up, but I just wanted to shoot this out there and just really drive home the stuff that, like, you've got to, like, widen your view when making a decision. It's not a decision. You're not making a choice if there isn't a fork in the road. A fork with both roads leading to a similar place, right? If there's no choice, if there aren't choices, then you're not making a choice. And I think that's very, very important. And also, we deserve to try to alleviate our distress the, like, best and healthiest way and the least invasive way. Everybody deserves that. So I hope that's been helpful.